So I spent 30 hours in the last month playing Kovaaks Aim Trainer to see if I could get professional level aim. You know what, let me start from the beginning. Hello everyone, I'm Shakes, and I've been playing competitive FPS games on PC for many years, and all throughout my many years have always understood that having good aim is one of the most universally useful skills in FPS games. But getting good aim isn't as easy as clicking a button. Unless you were to download cheats, I suppose. That would suffice. Getting incredible aim is surely something you can't get quickly, right?
I had a good round.
I mean, look at all the pros across pretty much any top competitive FPS game like CSGO or Valorant, and you can see that each and every one of them have thousands and thousands of hours clocked, perfecting not only their game sense and teamwork, but their ability to click on bad guys. But what if there was a faster way? Aim trainers aren't exactly a new concept, but for so long the best way to get better aim was just to play your respective game that in many ways they were somewhat irrelevant. But if you actually want to get professional level aim in a fraction of the time, there's no better way. Not convinced? Well, think about it logically. The average round in Counter-Strike or Valorant actually trains and tests your aim skill for a few moments at best, while spending the vast majority of your time setting up smokes, watching sightlines, and waiting for pushes. Even in Battle Royales, the vast majority of your time is spent running around and looting over actually testing your mechanical ability to aim. Which leads me to Kovaaks. Kovaak 2.0, or Kovaaks as it's commonly called, is $10 on Steam and is widely recognized as one of the best aim trainers and is home to many different guides on how to properly use it in the most effective ways possible. Believe it or not, there's a right way and a wrong way to aim train, and if you're spending 3 hours a day in Tile Frenzy and wondering why you aren't Radiant and Valorant, you can probably guess which category you fit into. The point is, you're gonna need a bit of guidance to make sure you aren't just wasting time clicking on shapes for hours on end, which is why I read a 14-page paper by one of the world's best aim coaches, Aimer7, on the most scientifically effective routines to improve your aim with Kovaaks. I also used other guides and sources throughout the month to help me, like Sparky's routines, because you can never have enough information, but before we get into that, let's get into my original results. So since I mainly wanted to focus on getting my aim better in Valorant, I decided to follow the click timing routines from Aimer7's Kovaaks guide to begin with. I've had some experience with aim trainers for a while now, so I took many of his scenarios and mixed them with the ones I knew I needed improvement on. I recently bought a new mouse, and with a brand new mouse, your mouse control isn't going to be nearly as good as it was before, so there's a lot of improvement I was looking forward to. Onto the scenarios. The first one that I did was 1 wall 6 targets TE, where you shoot at 6 rather large targets on a wall, and on my first day my highest score was 115.6. Not too impressive, in fact barely over the average, but hey, this is what aim trainers are for. You're not supposed to get a top tier score the first day and be done with it, right? Have I been doing this wrong? Anyway, the second benchmark scenario that I went with was 1 wall 5 targets Pasu, which was undoubtedly one of the most frustrating of the bunch, and I got 32.5. You have to hit 5 moving targets, which for my underdeveloped monkey brain was too much to handle, but alas, you'll see how far I evolved over the course of the month. The next was LG Pin Practice 360, a tracking and target switching routine where you have to, you guessed it, track and switch targets among bots who move vertically and horizontally, and I got 2,549 on it. The next was 1 wall 6 targets small, which was the same as TE, except the targets aren't nearly as large, and I got a score of 689. The final benchmark scenario that I did was Rex Strafes Kata, where you try to track an enemy that realistically strafes around a little room, and I got 2,652. For all of these, I pretty much got barely above the average, so you can tell there was a long way to go before even being close to having professional level aim. So every day I did each of these scenarios for 10 minutes, as well as 10 extra minutes to focus on doing miscellaneous scenarios, like Bounce 180, 1 wall 9,000 targets, and maybe a bit of Tile Frenzy for fun. These weren't as necessary to my growth as the rest, but were more to keep me trying new scenarios, because oftentimes when you're hitting plateaus in aim training, it's best to just try out other scenarios to loosen yourself up a bit, and also give yourself a little bit of a new challenge. If you're gonna try out this experiment yourself, I highly recommend you follow Aimer7's Kovaaks paper. A guide that I made for that will be in the description, or Sparky's routines, or pretty much any routine set up by a top level aimer who has actually put in the time to figure out which are the best scenarios to do, because way too many people using aim trainers simply do whatever scenarios they find fun or seem easy, and because of this they end up wasting a lot of time. Doing tasks that are challenging and reward accuracy over speed may not be quite as entertaining, but will get you a lot farther in making your mouse control better. And keep in mind, this is coming from the guy who did Gridshot Ultimate in Aim Lab for a full month, so you can probably believe me on this point. Anyway, let's get into the results I achieved halfway throughout the month. Hey everyone, it's Shakes again. I've just completed my second full week of Kovaaks training, and my scores have gone up quite a bit more than I thought they would. I personally have a pretty large weakness for tracking overall, so especially in those categories, I was glad to see actual improvement, because believe it or not, tracking is still a necessary aim skill to have, even if you only play games where you only need to click on heads. Anyway, after the end of this week, my high score in 1 wall 6 targets TE was 141, and 1 wall 5 targets Pasu it was 52.6, in LG Pin Practice it was 2,858, and 1 wall 6 targets small it was 778, 2008, and in Rex Strafe's Kata it was 2796. The last scenario was the only one that I barely saw any improvement in, so I looked up why I was not getting any better, which leads me to one of the most important things about aim training. You have to do it right. Just doing the same scenarios over and over when you aren't improving isn't exactly a great idea, and to remedy this you can look up guides on how to improve at one if it's a popular scenario, or find similar tasks that would be training the same skills but in different ways. I'd recommend checking out Christmas is Cancelled if you want tips on how to improve at some of the most popular scenarios, as he holds fantastic scores in them, but in my case, to fix my Rex Strafe's Kata score, I looked at Kovaak's website, the guy who made the aim trainer, who recommended you go to the free play mode and lower the time scale of the scenario to a speed where you can get 60% accuracy and then slowly move up the speed from there. Doing this helped a ton for my ability to track the bot in the scenario, and this is definitely a trick I'd recommend to anyone hitting a plateau within a tracking task. My point here is that if you're for some reason not improving, then you should try similar tasks, harder ones especially, and look up how others did it so you don't have to learn the hard way yourself. Hard work and putting in the time is super important for getting great aim, but so is understanding the smartest way to improve so you can be as efficient as possible. Remember, we're competing against people who have thousands of hours and years of experience, so if we want to catch up, we're going to have to be improving at a faster rate. We gotta work smarter, not harder. Well, smarter and harder. I guess that would probably be a more fitting slogan. Anyway, let's not waste any more of your time. These are results after a full month of Kovaak's aim training. So hey guys, it's Shakes once again. I don't know why I just said that, because I'm probably going to be putting this in the middle of the video, but weird formalities aside, I've just completed my 4th and final week of Kovaak's training, and let me tell you, this stuff really works. I'll go over my improved scores really quickly, as it is quite interesting how much I've improved in Kovaaks, but more importantly talk about the effect it's had in my real games right after. Anyway, my highest score in 1-6 targets TE was hit on one of my final days of the month, 154.3. The next scenario, Pasu, I got a pretty crazy 72.3 as my high score, and for LG pin practice, I got a high score of 3,162. For 1-6 target small, I got a high score of 873, and for Rex Strafe's Kata, I got a final score of 3,191. All of these put me within holding high scores in the top 10% of Kovaaks players all the way to the top 2%, which I'd say is a pretty solid achievement, seeing as I started the month off being barely better than the average player. For some, I increased my initial score by 25% over the course of the month, while others 125%, but the most important thing to recognize isn't exactly the scores I got. It's the improvement of mouse control that you get from playing all of these scenarios, and that is the improvement that I was most intrigued by. Because having fantastic scores in Kovaaks won't help you win a 1v3 clutch. Fast and precise aim will. Now, I didn't play very much Counter-Strike during the month because I know even if my aim became godlike, with how the ranking system works in that game, it would still take me weeks just to rank up, so I used Valorant. At the beginning of the month, I started at Gold 3, and by the last few matches, I ended up as a Diamond 3 player. It's tough to include this in the video, but since all you guys kept asking for it after the first aim trainer video, I thought why not, but there are definitely a few important disclaimers. Just because I went up 6 ranks doesn't mean you will. It all depends on the balance of aim skill and game sense that you have, and if you already have fantastic game sense, then this will surely help you greatly. On the other hand, if your aim is already above the level of those that you rank, but your game sense is lacking, getting even better aim will barely help you climb. The point is, you need to train both game sense and aim to rank up, and forgetting one or the other will just hold you back. Also, a few other things, my game sense improved quite a bit during the month. I don't even know how I placed gold in the first place, and I win the vast majority of my duels, which are just a few reasons why I feel like showing off my rank improvement isn't exactly the most relevant when talking about the development I got from Kovaaks. There's a lot more to your rank than just your aim, so it isn't exactly the best indicator of your improvement. Then again, the main reason people play aim trainers is to get better and rank up in games, so kinda my fault there. Whatever. Aim-wise, now I can comfortably compete against people at the Immortal level, which is pretty crazy after just 1 month of training. Would I say I got professional level aim in 1 month? Not quite. I'm still quite a ways behind most pros, but I know for a fact that my strategy made me improve my aim far faster than if I were to just play Valorant for 5 hours each day. If I keep up this training, I have no doubt I could get to such a level in a fraction of the time that it took others playing traditional games. As I said before, work smarter and harder. Anyway, there's a bunch of things I've learned over the course of this month that are super important to understand if you plan on going through with an experiment like this yourself, or just want very useful aim tips that will help you not only play better, but play more consistently. Anyway, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have a consistent sitting position and posture, because if your arm is in a new position every time you play, it's going to be pretty hard to have consistent aim. I'd recommend just trying different things out for a few days, and once you have a really good couple of matches, then you can commit to memory how you were set up so you can replicate your success later. In game, remember that your crosshair placement is just as important, if not more important than having good aim, because just pre-aiming the right spots will lead you to get 90% of your frags in most competitive shooters shooters like CS or Valorant. The best way to improve your crosshair placement is just to get good game sense and map knowledge, as well as some tracking ability to keep your crosshair on the same area while moving around. For lower elo players, simply getting better crosshair placement will be one of the most important things in winning gunfights, so make sure you understand how to pre-aim well. When the target is close to your crosshair, focus on the target, and when the target is far from your crosshair, focus on the crosshair. This will allow you to better react to the enemy's movement when you're already close to them with your crosshair, and better allow you to be smooth and precise in getting to them with your crosshair if your target is far from it. Try to gradually implement this theory into your gameplay and you'll see fantastic results. Try to play Kovaaks before hopping into your respective games, as it's not only a great aim trainer, but it's also great for warming you up before playing. Hopping into a few rounds of deathmatch or whatever unrated modes there are before getting into competitive is also pretty important, because you want to get warmed up before you hop into a comp match, not use comp as your warm-up. If you play both Kovaaks and some in-game practice before getting into a competitive match, you're definitely going to be ready to play at your potential. As I said before, for Kovaaks, remember to diversify the scenarios you do, so you train all parts of your aim skill, even if you only really play games that seem to require one type of training. And lastly, when you're doing any kind of aim training, your number one focus should be about improving your mouse smoothness and accuracy over getting high scores. Because while you can easily cheese your way to getting a better score than you deserve, going slowly and making sure you really are improving your mouse control is the most surefire way to confirm your aim improves across all games. I've spent a lot of time doing Kovaaks in the last month, and even though it was a bit of a chore at times, I still plan to do it every day because I enjoy the improvement I'm getting, and believe that with this strategy, it shouldn't take too long, at least comparatively, to get legitimate professional level aim. It's been Shakes. Like the video because this took way too long to make, subscribe if you want to, or if you don't, I don't discriminate, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.